All right, this is the DaVinci Resolve tutorial. Now, you go into this follows along with the the lecture, the PowerPoint lecture. So you do go into blackmagicdesign.com, DaVinci Resolve, and this is click right here. You get in there. You do have to log in, create an account. You do have to do the free download only, and that gives you 90% of what DaVinci Resolve gives you. Now, what does DaVinci Resolve give you? It is better than Premiere Pro in many aspects. It doesn't the negative. It doesn't flow in between After Effects as well as seamlessly, but it's probably the best. It is the best color correcting software, and it is definitely, in my opinion, the best free video editing software out there. Now, when you graduate, you may not have access to a discounted code to Adobe Suite, so you may want to get used to DaVinci Resolve. So that's why we're doing this, and I also want you to do the final edit in DaVinci Resolve, and that includes the sound and the color. The sound and the color is the sound editing is fantastic in DaVinci Resolve, and the colorizing is the best. After you have downloaded and everything, you can click on the icon and it'll come on up. You were on 20. Mine might be a little bit different. So these are past projects. So I want to go to new project and title it. I'll say Resolve Test and create. Okay. Now you can go into settings, and I know that I am doing 29.97, but yours might be 24. I know that I'm doing 1920 by 1080, and that is something I'm saving. Okay. Now I can I can click and drag stuff in, or I can do this way and I can import media. And I want to bring this in. Okay, maybe this is it. 100 and okay, there. It might have to change. Yeah, if it says change, do that. If I need to change the frame rate, please do that. And I'm going to bring it in here, and it automatically starts right here. Let's play it for a little bit. And I like how big this is. If it was a different frame rate, right? So I actually want to see what frame rate this is. Yeah, it's 23.976. So it did change. Okay. If it was a different frame rate, then it might sound like it was in slow motion. So I got the frame rate, I got the media over here to edit, and that was, so I want to do edit. I want to be in edit. I have effects. I have popped on effects because I'm going to be cutting and doing things like doing transitions. I'm not going to be doing much fusion right now. It's a lot. It's a very sort of complicated adding effects and things like that. So we're going to do that another time. Color, we'll dig into this in a little bit, but this is the color section. Sound, really good sound editing tools, but a little bit complicated. And deliver, again, this is where you export and you check to make sure everything's set up, and we'll eventually get to that. Okay, going back to edit. Now, first thing I want to do is, when you're in edit, you have access to the blade edit mode, right? You have this. So I'm going to click on that, and before actually you click on that, you need to make sure that this is link selection. I also like snapping too. All right. So I go down and it's probably better if you expand it out a little bit, right? So I'm going to do this, and that has been cut. All right. That has been cut. Make sure you go back to the arrow, because if you're messing around with this selected, you could cut different things. All right. So we're going to do the first effect, right? In order to do the first effect, here, I'll show you how. I need to, if I'm going to do a transition, this is something that's super important. You need to pull.
So my name is John Reynolds, and I am a
back this a little bit, because you need some material here, and then you need to pull this back a little bit. I might have pulled it back too much. Let me see. Yeah, that might be too much. And I'll show you what I mean. Try that. Let's try. Again, let's open it up a little bit more. Bring it back, sorry. You know what? I'll bring it here and see if that works. This will make sense in a moment. Okay. I brought it back a bunch of frames. And I brought this back a bunch of frames. Now I bring these two together. Boom. And in order for me to have a video transition, I need that amount of material, because you can't just plop it out on the very end in order to fuse together and work, if that makes sense. So I'm going to do cross dissolve and see if it works. It does. Okay. You see that? It works now. All right. So let's see.
So my name is John Reynolds, and I am a professor.
Okay. Yeah, you'll have to play around so you get his name in there. Okay, so that's blur dissolve. And the cool thing about it is you can, you can try it out before it even, by scrolling like this, dip to color. And that is the video transitions. Now, let's see, what are we doing next? Got that. Settings, right? Settings continued. Okay, importing music. And there's transition. We just went over transitions. Importing music is very easy. When you import music, let's see if I can find a song. Now you have your regular dialogue going on. And what if the dialogue is very loud or high? You can do a general, and again, let's do this. Hold on. You see this? This is a sound line, right? All right, so to make this timeline, this one bigger, you go like this, you go, sorry. You hit this button right here and do track height, video higher, along bigger, right? You can do audio taller as well, all right? So what if I wanted to do something with the music, and you would automatically try to make the music bigger and wider, and there's a spot in here that maybe you want to dig in and make it louder or softer. Again, but generally, if you go like this hits all of the sound, right?
Reynolds, and I am a professor of neuroscience at the Salk Institute.
Okay. All right. So you can also bring in, like, if you now that we're playing around with the mixer, I mean the sound, go ahead and hit this. You don't want the sound to go past above 10 that much. 10 to 5 is okay, but you can't go to 0 because it'll mess it up. So again, I'm wanting to dig into the sound, and I go like this, and that's pretty good. I think that's okay. I've made it wide enough where I can dig in there and I can add keyframes is what you're going to be doing. All right. Now, and we want to hit keyframes on this white line here. So you hit Option. I hit the Option key, and I put one keyframe here. So I want to make this part big, higher. One keyframe here. You can move the keyframes down again, and then it has to be up to 3 keyframes in order to make this part higher. You see? Right? So you play around with that and you boost it, or you can lower it, right? And that is where you dig into and take a part of the sound and manipulate it, right? And in order to, again, to make that happen, you have to have at least 3, maybe 4. Let's try that. Okay, so say you have more control over the section with like where these stay the same and keep this even and flat, and then you play around with this section by going like this, or you can even make it. So that's how you work with sound here, because that adds effects and reverb and things like that. It also fixes some distortion and things like that, but we're not going to do that. We're going to really focus on the edit mode, the general edit mode. Titles are also kind of similar to transitions. And you just go over to, and again, it is in titles. So you double click on titles in order to bring up. You don't go down, you don't click down and go here. You double click on titles. And left lower third is a perfect example of something that you've been working on. And so you basically, and you can scroll, and see what it looks like. And I am gonna, to bring the title in, you can click and just drag it over. Okay, see how it does that? I'm gonna pop this here, and I'm gonna double click on it, and up in the properties panel is where you can make the size bigger. You can add your own. So I'm gonna say John Reynolds, and then you can scroll down. There's 2 Salk and Institute scientist. Oh, actually, maybe I want to switch it, but you get the idea. So that's that. You can change the font, the size, and things like that. So that is titles. Although
Reynolds, and I am a professor of neuroscience at the Salk Institute. My research.
Okay, and that is text. And what else am I missing? Color. Okay, so color, you got to be really kind of, what's the word? Careful. You ease into color. You don't go all out. So I think playing around with the temperature and contrast and maybe a little tint and color boost is really awesome. Highlights. So you manipulate that, and I want to make him look less pale. So there's someone that probably looks a little pale, or it looks, and it says under primary's color wheel. So the temperature, I like the temperature, bringing it up a little bit. 150 seems good. I don't want, I want a little bit of color, him and him too. You don't want to go extreme, right? 20 is good, or 19. Highlights a little bit more. Makes it looks a little bit better already, less pale. Okay. Shadows can be down a little bit, maybe. Not really too much. How about tint? Color moves, highlights, saturation, hue, loom mix. Okay. And it's already looking better. Okay. Already looking better. All right. Hue. No. 50 is fine. Okay. All right. I like it already better, but you play around with it, and this looks a lot better too. It's already much more dynamic. So color is very minimal. Don't push it. Don't be extreme on it. And so that kind of gets you in a better position. It looks better already. Okay. Save. Exporting, very similar to Premiere Pro. H.264 codec is way to go. Double check, make sure it's all good. So let's dig in there. All right, hold on. Right. H.264 QuickTime is fine. This is fine, I think. Right. And cut this. However, you can put your out. See how I hit O, and I now will only export just this amount. So I hit I at the beginning, right here. This is I, hit I, and then the end is over here. Yeah, it's at the end of here. So I will now, let's try to get this over here. And we're gonna select all, add to render queue, and ready. I don't want to call it timeline 1. I want to call it Salk test. Okay, so I hit render all right here. And it should have done it, and I should be able to find it. Okay. And obviously you want to test your work, make sure it's all good. Okay. One last thing is I didn't show you how to bring in music. You do that in the edit again, and you bring it in here, and you go import. And generally, see if I can find a song. Bring this in, for instance. And you bring, like, the main music has to be on a main sound has to be on the top, but you can drag this down and hold on, drag this down here, and there you go. And you can manipulate again the sound and how much it is.
Reynolds, and I am a professor of neuroscience at the.
Okay. You can do things like cut. Again, you can edit the music, much like you would cut or edit the video. Hit that and then fade it out. Nope, oops. Okay, and just fade the music out like that. Or I'm sorry, not fade the music out. Fade the ocean sound. So I just manually did that.
Reynolds, and I am a professor of
Okay, so that's some sound editing. You can also do audio transition and do a crossfade on that if you can. Hopefully that helps.